What we're currently experiencing in cryptocurrency and the economy is nothing compared to what's coming up. Cryptocurrency is down 75%, the Nasdaq 34%, and interest rates are going up, putting pressure on everyone's pocket. So in this video, I'm going to show you what I believe is coming up, but more importantly, how I'm preparing and taking advantage of it. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Michael, where I usually simplify technical analysis for you. But in this video, I'm going big picture, I'm going macro, where my aim is to simplify the overall macro cycle and the economy. So let's just get stuck into it. I'm not a financial advisor. This video is purely my opinion and for education and entertainment purposes only. Always do your own research and seek your own professional help before making any financial decision. Now, the markets never repeat a previous cycle exactly, but they do usually rhyme. And if I'm to compare where we are currently with a previous market cycle, we can go back roughly 20 years to have a look at what was happening. Now, of course, we had the lows of 2022 and then a huge bull market into the GFC top around 2007. Now, this is the real bear market that I'm talking about. We haven't experienced this pain yet, but rather just the pre-pain like we saw in the tech wreck from 2021 all the way down into the low in 2022. Now, if you think about markets kind of repeating cycles or rhyming, of course, we had the dot-com bubble, we had the pets.com, the infamous pets.com. Hey, maybe that's like the NFTs that have been crashing. And if we're looking for more evidence of history rhyming, of course, we had the devastating 9/11 attacks. Right now, we've got Russia and Ukraine. Now, also, we had SARS at the end of the cycle, and now we've still got coronavirus hanging around. So just when things seem their absolute worst, markets make bottoms around these times, and they do rebuild, getting ready for another leg up, which is exactly where I believe we are right now in the current cycle. Most of the pain in this current bear market has been felt by cryptocurrency with the collapse of Luna, UST, 3AC, Celsius, Voyager, you name it. There's just been a scam or problem across the board pretty much in crypto, losing over $2 trillion of its market cap. Now, you may be thinking, how can it get worse than that when the market's already been feeling so much pain? Well, I've got some good news and some bad news. While the pain and suffering currently feels pretty bad for all the long-term hodl accounts, I do believe we have another leg of good times ahead before the real pain and suffering does come up. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this chart and what it means for the price and direction of cryptocurrency. But first, while we are just talking about the macro picture, we've seen a bunch of scams and problems in the crypto space. But when there is a true economic problem across the board, we're going to see something similar in the traditional markets. There's going to be loads of scams and fraudulent activity popping up in the traditional market space. And how do I know that? It happens every single time we do reach the end of a macro cycle, and we're not at the end of that macro cycle yet. In the global financial crisis of 2008, there were a bunch of big banks that both failed and also got bailed out. And we're not seeing that yet, but it is coming. Now, the same thing happened in the boom into 1989 and also again into 1973. It's just a secular pattern that happens over and over. And while we've had a taste of that in cryptocurrency, I do believe it's going to be much worse the next time around when we do have the traditional markets tied up in the mess as well. So while the markets are down, if you just zoom out that little bit and have a look at the bigger picture, you can see this is nothing more than a correction in a larger bull market. In the economy, although it might not seem it at the moment, we are currently in what I believe to be just a healthy correction before setting up for another leg. What I'm not saying is that we've seen the final low and the markets are only going to go up from here, although that they could be. We may still be seeing a few more weeks or months of depressed prices, maybe coming back to revisit the lows before we do start that next leg. But once again, what I'm talking about is the macro overall cycle, and what we've just seen is going to be nothing in comparison to when we do get that secular top and a secular bear market. Now, one thing you must always remember in the markets is that bottoms are formed when the news is the worst and the tops are formed when the news is the best. Everybody only wants to be tuning in to bad things and depressing things that are happening in the market when the markets are already down. They don't want to be hearing about any good news. Just like this video here is probably going to get a lot of hate as well because the markets are still down and I'm talking about some good times ahead. Now, the same is true at the tops. You put out any piece of information that's saying, hey, maybe things are overheated and the markets are going to be falling, everybody will tell you you're a fool. Now, one of the best ways I know how to map out the market and look at some actual data is using Elliott Wave. And that's what this chart here is all about and where I believe we're at in the cycle. So like I've been talking about on this channel, there's a lot of evidence to let me know that perhaps we're seeing a low at the moment. And if not, we're very, very close to it. But what I believe is coming up after we do get the confirmation of a low in the market is the fifth and final leg. And after that fifth and final leg is a secular bear market that cryptocurrency has not experienced before. before. Now, where cryptocurrency is at in its Elliott wave count does deserve a dedicated video on its own, and if you do want to see that, drop me a comment to let me know. But at least for now, with where the market's at and the economy overall, I do believe we are getting very close, if not already seen a macro low, before we are seeing some good times ahead. Now here comes the sales pitch, because if I'm right, and this is forming a macro low before some good times ahead, in my opinion, this is the last opportunity to be getting set up for a big picture play for some macro investing and some big gains. Members of the Investor Accelerator know that my only stock market purchases were late in June and also early in July, right around the times of the lows. So if you are interested to learn about how I'm managing my stock portfolio, cryptocurrency, real estate, and even metals, check those links out in the description below. Until then, do leave me a comment if you want to see a detailed video where I break down Elliott wave counts for cryptocurrency, in addition to what I do think is going on with this current bounce from the low. I'll continue to track the macro cycle for you all to see if this will age like milk. And if you did enjoy this video and you think someone else will also benefit from it, do share it around, or at least drop me a comment to say cheers. But that's all I've got for you in my macro overview for the economy, crypto, and stock markets. And until next time, I'll catch you then.